I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. What is the very first thing you do every single morning when you wake up? Do you reach for your phone? Do you head straight to the coffee maker? Do you skip breakfast and jump right into your day? Whatever your answer is, there is a very good chance that something you are doing in those first 30 to 60 minutes after waking up is quietly, invisibly, and consistently putting stress on two of the most important organs in your entire body, your kidneys. And the reason I say quietly is because kidney damage does not announce itself with loud, obvious symptoms, at least not in the beginning. It builds slowly, silently, over months and years, until one day the damage is significant enough that your doctor starts using words that nobody ever wants to hear. And by that point, reversing the damage is much harder than it would have been if you had simply known what to change earlier. That is exactly why this video exists, because what I am about to share with you today is something that most people over 50 have never been told clearly, not in a doctor's office, not by a pharmacist, and certainly not in any mainstream health conversation. And it involves something you do every single morning without even thinking about it. So please stay with me through this entire video, because the information in the second half is just as important as what I am sharing right now, and I do not want you to miss any of it. If this is your first time here and you are finding this kind of honest health conversation valuable, please take just a moment to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. At Dr. Alex Morgan Aging Wellness Lab, we are dedicated to bringing you the kind of clear, research-based, practical health information that actually makes a difference in your daily life. We publish new content every week specifically for people who are serious about protecting their health as they age. Now let us talk about your kidneys and what is really happening to them every morning. Most people do not think about their kidneys until something goes wrong. And that is completely understandable, because the kidneys do not demand attention the way a sore knee does or a pounding headache does. They work in the background, quietly filtering your blood, removing waste products, balancing your fluid levels, regulating your blood pressure, producing hormones that keep your bones strong and your red blood cells healthy. Every single minute of every single day, your kidneys filter approximately 1.5 liters of blood. Over the course of 24 hours, they process somewhere around 200 liters of blood and produce about 1 to 2 liters of urine as a byproduct of that filtration. It is an extraordinary amount of work. And like any system that works that hard for that long, the kidneys are vulnerable to damage when they are consistently not given what they need, or when they are consistently exposed to things that harm them. Now here is where the morning comes in. When you wake up after 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body is in a state of mild dehydration. You have not consumed any fluids for all those hours, while your kidneys have continued working, your lungs have continued releasing moisture with every breath, and your skin has continued losing water through what scientists call insensible perspiration. By the time your alarm goes off, most adults are already running a fluid deficit of anywhere from 1 to 2 cups of water. And what do most people do in response to that deficit? Absolutely nothing. They wake up, they go to the bathroom, and then they head straight for the coffee maker. And I want to be very clear here. I am not anti-coffee. Coffee in moderation has actually been shown in multiple studies to have some protective benefits for kidney health. That is not the issue. The issue is what happens when caffeine is the first thing you put into a body that is already dehydrated. Caffeine is a diuretic. That means it increases urine production and causes your body to lose more fluid. So if you are already mildly dehydrated from a full night of sleep, and the very first thing you do is consume a substance that causes your body to lose even more fluid, you are compounding a deficit that your kidneys are already working to manage. And the kidneys are the organs most directly affected by dehydration. When your fluid levels drop, your blood becomes slightly more concentrated, your blood volume decreases slightly, and your kidneys, whose job it is to filter blood, have to work harder with less of the fluid they need to do that job efficiently. Over the course of one morning, this is not a catastrophe. But over the course of months and years of the same morning pattern, repeated day after day, it contributes to a cumulative stress on kidney tissue that quietly and progressively reduces their functional capacity. Research published in several nephrology journals has confirmed that chronic low-grade dehydration is one of the most underappreciated contributors to kidney function decline in middle-aged and older adults. And the insidious thing is that most people who are chronically mildly dehydrated do not feel thirsty. The thirst mechanism becomes less sensitive with age. So older adults are particularly vulnerable because their bodies are less effective at signaling when fluid replacement is needed. You can be meaningfully dehydrated and feel completely normal, until your kidneys start showing the strain in ways that show up on a blood test. This is why the single most impactful morning habit change you can make for your kidney health is also one of the simplest things imaginable. Drink water before your coffee, not after, before. A full glass of water, ideally around 12 to 16 ounces, consumed within 15 minutes of waking up, before any caffeine, before breakfast, before your phone, before anything else. This single habit begins reversing the overnight fluid deficit immediately. It gives your kidneys the hydration they need to begin the day's filtration work efficiently rather than under stress. It helps flush out the metabolic waste products that have accumulated in the kidney tubules overnight, and it does something else that most people would not expect. It actually makes you feel more alert and energetic in the morning, often more so than caffeine, because a significant portion of morning grogginess is actually mild dehydration masquerading as fatigue. Let me tell you about a man I will call Franklin. He was 63 years old and came to my attention after a routine blood test showed slightly elevated creatinine levels, which is one of the key markers that doctors use to assess kidney function. Elevated creatinine means the kidneys are not clearing waste products from the blood as efficiently as they should be. His doctor told him his kidney function was in a borderline range and that he should monitor it closely. Franklin was not in kidney failure, he was not even close to needing dialysis, but he was on a trajectory, and without changes, that trajectory was headed in the wrong direction. When I spoke with Franklin about his daily routine, his morning habits immediately stood out. He was a lifelong coffee drinker, 2 large cups before 8 in the morning, black, no water beforehand. He almost never felt thirsty in the morning and had not made a habit of drinking water at any particular time. He ate very little in the mornings, and when he did eat, it tended to be something quick and processed. He was also taking 3 different over-the-counter medications every morning, 2 of which were non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, the class of medications that includes ibuprofen and naproxen. He had been taking these daily for about 2 years for chronic joint pain, and this combination of chronic dehydration and daily NSAID use was creating a perfect storm for his kidneys. This is actually the second morning mistake that I want to address, because it is one that affects tens of millions of older Americans, and that is almost never discussed openly in the context of kidney health. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, commonly known as NSAIDs, are some of the most widely used medications in the country. Ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin in higher doses, these are medications that most people consider safe because they are available over the counter and because their doctors have recommended them at some point for pain management. And in short-term, occasional use, they are generally safe for people with healthy kidneys. But here is what most people are never told. NSAIDs work in part by affecting the prostaglandins, which are hormone-like compounds that, among many other things, help regulate blood flow to the kidneys. When you take NSAIDs regularly, you are interfering with this regulatory mechanism, and when kidney blood flow is reduced, kidney filtration efficiency drops. In a well-hydrated person with healthy kidneys, the body can compensate for this effect. But in someone who is already mildly dehydrated, which as we just discussed is almost everyone first thing in the morning, and in someone whose kidney function is already somewhat reduced due to age or other factors, taking NSAIDs first thing in the morning on a dehydrated body is genuinely harmful. Study after study has shown that regular NSAID use is one of the leading causes of drug-induced kidney injury in older adults, and the combination of dehydration and NSAIDs multiplies the risk significantly. If you are someone who takes ibuprofen or naproxen every morning for arthritis pain, back pain, or any other chronic condition, this is a conversation you need to have with your doctor. There are alternative pain management approaches that do not carry this kidney risk, and your doctor may not have proactively raised this issue because they may not have connected your morning routine to your kidney health markers. Franklin made 2 immediate changes when he understood what was happening. He started drinking 16 ounces of water every morning before his coffee, without exception, and he had a frank conversation with his doctor about his NSAID use and worked out an alternative pain management plan that included topical anti-inflammatory creams, which have far less systemic effect on the kidneys, along with some dietary and lifestyle adjustments. At his 3-month follow-up blood test, his creatinine levels had improved noticeably, not dramatically because kidney recovery is a slow process, but they were moving in the right direction for the first time in years, and that movement, that reversal of a trend that had been going the wrong way, was deeply meaningful to Franklin. It told him that the damage was not permanent, that his body still had the capacity to respond and recover when given the right conditions. Now let us talk about something that is connected to kidney health in the morning that most people would never think to connect: your blood pressure. Many older adults take blood pressure medication in the morning, which is appropriate and important. But here is a nuance that most people are never told. Blood pressure medications, particularly certain classes like ACE inhibitors and angiotensin receptor blockers, which are among the most commonly prescribed, are actually kidney protective in most people with hypertension. However, if you take these medications on a dehydrated body first thing in the morning, before adequate fluid intake, they can sometimes cause blood pressure to drop lower than intended in the early morning hours. And when blood pressure drops significantly, blood flow to the kidneys decreases along with it. This is another reason why drinking water before anything else in the morning matters so much. It helps maintain adequate blood volume and blood pressure so that your kidneys receive the blood flow they need to function properly from the very first moments of your day. Let us shift to another morning habit that is far more damaging to kidney health than most people realize, and that is the habitual high-sodium breakfast. A large segment of the American population starts their day with foods that are extraordinarily high in sodium. Processed breakfast meats like bacon and sausage, canned biscuits, fast food breakfast sandwiches, instant oatmeal packets with added flavoring, commercial cereals. These foods are convenient, they taste good, and most people have been eating them for decades without connecting them to any specific health consequence, but sodium is filtered almost entirely by the kidneys. And when you consume a high-sodium meal first thing in the morning on an already dehydrated body, you are asking your kidneys to manage an increased sodium load at exactly the moment when they are least equipped to do so efficiently. Over time, chronically high sodium intake is one of the most well-documented dietary drivers of kidney function decline. It increases the filtration pressure within the kidney nephrons, which are the tiny functional units that do the actual filtering work. Sustained high pressure in the nephrons over years causes a process called glomerulosclerosis, which is essentially scarring of the kidney filtering units. Once kidney tissue scars, it does not regenerate, the damage is permanent, and the more nephrons you lose to this scarring process, the harder the remaining healthy nephrons have to work, which accelerates the damage to those remaining units in a vicious cycle that kidney specialists call hyperfiltration injury. The practical implication of this is that shifting to a lower sodium morning meal is one of the most protective things you can do for your kidneys over the long term. This does not have to be complicated. Eggs cooked without added salt, with vegetables sautéed in a small amount of olive oil, contain minimal sodium and provide excellent nutrition. Plain oatmeal with berries and a small amount of honey is a beautifully kidney-friendly breakfast. Fresh fruit with plain yogurt, whole grain toast with avocado. These are not exotic health foods. They are simple, affordable, widely available options that are dramatically lower in sodium than the processed alternatives and that support rather than stress your kidney function from the very beginning of the day. I also want to talk about something that happens in the morning for many older adults that has a direct and underappreciated impact on kidney health. The morning supplement and medication routine. Many people, particularly those who are health conscious and trying to do the right thing, take a collection of supplements in the morning: multivitamins, vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, fish oil, various herbal supplements. And while some of these have genuine health benefits, there are several important kidney-related considerations that most people are never warned about. First, some supplements are directly nephrotoxic, meaning they can cause kidney damage, particularly in higher doses or in people who already have some degree of kidney function reduction. Aristolochic acid, found in some traditional herbal preparations, is a well-documented cause of kidney injury. High-dose vitamin C supplementation, above 2,000 milligrams daily, can contribute to kidney stone formation in susceptible individuals. Certain weight loss supplements, energy-boosting preparations, and some herbal products marketed for joint health contain compounds that are harmful to kidney tissue with regular use. If you are taking any supplement that you have not specifically discussed with your doctor in the context of your kidney health, that conversation is worth having. Second, and this is critically important, many supplements should be taken with food and adequate water, not on an empty stomach with minimal fluid. Taking supplements on a dehydrated empty stomach first thing in the morning can reduce their absorption, cause gastrointestinal discomfort, and in some cases increase the concentration of certain compounds in the blood in ways that put additional stress on the kidneys during their clearance process. A simple adjustment, taking your morning supplements after you have had your glass of water and eaten a light breakfast, can make a meaningful difference. Let us bring all of this together with something I call the kidney protective morning sequence, because I want to leave you with something concrete and actionable, not just information, but a clear picture of what a morning that supports your kidney health actually looks like in practice. The moment you wake up, before anything else, drink a full glass of water. Room temperature or slightly warm is fine. Cold is fine too. Just drink it. Then take 10 to 15 minutes before reaching for coffee or tea, allowing that water to begin doing its work. If you take blood pressure medication or other morning medications, take them with that initial glass of water unless your doctor has specifically instructed otherwise. When you sit down for breakfast, choose something low in sodium and rich in whole food nutrition. After breakfast, take any supplements you use with the meal rather than on an empty stomach. Then, and only then, enjoy your coffee or tea, now as an enhancement to a body that is already hydrated, rather than as the first thing a dehydrated body receives. This sequence takes essentially no more time than your current morning routine. The only difference is the order of events and the addition of that initial glass of water, but the cumulative impact of that sequence, repeated every morning for months and years, is profoundly different from the cumulative impact of the dehydrated, high-sodium NSAID on an empty stomach morning that so many people are currently living without any awareness of what it is doing to their kidneys. Think about the story of Franklin again. 2 changes: water before coffee, a conversation with his doctor about his pain medications, 3 months later, his kidney function markers were moving in the right direction for the first time in years. He told me that he wished someone had explained this to him 10 years earlier. That the information was so simple, so practical, so completely unmysterious, and yet nobody had ever laid it out for him clearly before. And that is the whole reason we do what we do here. Because health information that stays locked inside medical journals and specialist offices does not help the person who needs it. It only helps when it reaches people in a form they can actually understand and act on. Your kidneys have been working for you every single minute of your life without complaint, without drama, without asking for anything in return. They deserve a morning routine that supports them rather than stresses them, and the changes required to give them that are simpler than you probably expected when you started this video. Before you go today, I have a genuine request. If you know someone who wakes up every morning and reaches straight for the coffee maker or pops a couple of ibuprofen before they have had a single drop of water, please share this video with them. It could be one of the most important things you do for their long-term health. A simple share, a quick text with a link takes seconds, but the information in this video could make a real difference in someone's life over the years ahead. And please leave a comment below and tell me about your morning routine. Do you drink water first thing in the morning? Have you been taking NSAIDs regularly without realizing the kidney connection? Have you had any blood work that raised flags about your kidney function? Share your experience because this community learns from each other, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today to make a change that protects their health. I read every comment, and I genuinely value every one of them. Take care of yourself, take care of your kidneys, and I will see you in the next video.